And we see that that picture of that vehicle with the tire off, and then like
Yeah.
the windshield with like a it's a noticeable, like it's like a baseball hit it, but it didn't shatter the whole glass, right? It just,
I
there's
would,
damages.
yeah, I would say that it looks like what I've seen when like a golf ball hits a windscreen or something
Yeah.
like that. That it damages the outside. The laminate holds everything together like it's supposed to because that's how it's designed, and that the inner layer is just spiderwebbed or
Okay.
just cracked. It didn't look like it was shattered or anything like that, or that glass
No,
shards blew out on the inside of the vehicle. It was,
but it's enough to
yeah,
startle these young adults, right? A
yes.
hammer being thrown, cracked the windshield, whatever. But I guess they got scared, and they said they hit a parked vehicle, right?
Yes.
Referring to the blue SUV. Is that Ford Escape?
Yes. Yeah.
And then what? That Sheldon said he ran into the house, right? After that.
Yeah, it was after that, and testimony that says that Mr. Stanley stated, "Go get a gun." I'm trying to find here. I think I only see Belinda Jackson claiming that.
There's only Belinda saying that, and Gerald and Sheldon both said that they're gonna, like, he just ran into the house. But like
Right.
Sheldon Stanley's testifying that he went to go get the truck keys inside the house.
Yeah, because he
Whether he's
figured he was
gonna
going
get
to
a
have to
gun or
chase him
not,
down.
yeah.
And then Mr. Stanley goes into the garage or the shop or some outbuilding on the property, gets his Tokarov. Which one was it? It's a Tokarov. There's only really one that is
So
common around
Torkroff,
here.
how many, like in a magazine, right?
The mag, as with all restricted firearms in Canada, it can't hold more than 10 rounds by law. There's some loopholey stuff, but it that's more to do with like Glock firearms. Like for example, putting a 9mm round into a 40 cal mag, you can get more than 10 rounds in there, and it'll still feed properly into a 9mm Glock. But these Tokarevs are like, they're old Soviet handguns. Like there is no like different calibers or different magazines, so they can hold 10 rounds maximum, or at least that's how they're supposed to be. Just give
And
me a
that's for
second
Canada?
here. Yeah, in Canada, all restricted firearms cannot hold more than 10 rounds of ammunition.
Could you modify that?
It gets a little bit different if it's a restricted rifle. I just want to double check what the actual magazine capacity is, because it might not even hold 10. Like for example, like a 1911, a standard 1911 only holds 7 rounds.
Yeah.
So apparently you can get aftermarket magazines that'll be a 13 plus 1. So the plus 1 being with 1 in the chamber, you can have 13 in the mag, so a total of 14 rounds. But from the looks of it, the standard magazine for the Tokarev is a 9 round. So it would be a 9 plus 1. So a maximum of total, a maximum of 10 total rounds could be loaded into that firearm at once, and that's with 1 in the chamber ready to go.
So that's what he could have. Do we know what he had though in total?
He claimed that he thought he only put in 2 rounds, but that there were actually 3 rounds accounted for. Because there was the 2 rounds that he fired into the air, and there's cartridges found at the scene that corroborate that, plus the 1 cartridge inside. It was roughly in the dash, kind of in that front grill area for the front window defrost vent.
Yeah.
There was 1 cartridge, or rather 1 shell in there that they believe was associated with the round that actually hit and killed Mr. Boushie there. So
Okay.
a total of 3. So you know what? Like in all honesty, I think a reasonable person could be excused for thinking they put in 2, but they actually put in 3. Like you're in a panic, right?
Yeah. So then Sheldon Stanley said he heard a gunshot when he was on the deck leading to the house, and then.
Was it that, or was it that he was inside the house? He heard the shot.
CBC, the article CBC has kind of given like the facts here. We're just saying Stanley said as he's like He heard one gunshot when he was on the deck leading into the house, and then heard another as he entered the home. So he's going into the house when he heard these gunshots.
So, this is on the judge's statement to the jury. According to Sheldon, he ran into the house to get his car keys in order to follow the gray escape because he believed that other items may have been stolen. According to Sheldon, he was going up the stairs into the house, so yeah, around the porch, I guess. He heard a gunshot behind him. Then while in the house, he heard a second shot. He said he was coming back outside. He heard a third shot. He then saw Mr. Stanley walking on the back of the gray escape with a handgun in one hand and the magazine in the other. Sheldon testified his father looked at me like he was going to be sick and said, "I don't know what happened. It just went off. I wanted to scare them." That's, according to the judge's statement to the jury, that was the testimony from Sheldon Stanley.
Okay. So Stanley comes back out of the house. He says he doesn't hear a third, but he sees Dad, Gerald Stanley, at the window of the SUV.
Well, no, he said here
hand,
that
right?
He did hear a third.
Did he say he had a third? Okay.
Yeah, as he was coming back outside, he heard a third shot.
Okay, and then it says, like, it just went off. Is that what he said? I just wanted to scare them.
Yeah, he claimed that his
Gerald
father.
says, right?
Yeah, he claimed that his father said, "quote I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. It just went off. I wanted to scare them." That is his quote.
And then before the last shot, and this is according to Boushie's friends, right? Jackson, Meaches, Woodstone. They all fled the car while Boushie was in the front passenger seat. That's the CBC. Where is he at yours?
So the statements from Mr. Stanley, Mr. Stanley said that he went around to the driver's side of the vehicle. Where are we here? I will find his. So he ran up to the vehicle to look under to see if his wife might be under the car because he couldn't see his wife and the riding. Like his wife had been on the riding lawnmower. The riding lawnmower was right there. He didn't see his wife. She wasn't on the mower. He couldn't see her, so he wanted to check underneath to see if maybe she was underneath the vehicle. So he ran up to the vehicle and was about to look under the car to see if his wife might be under the car. As he was about to do that, he heard the car rev up. He noticed the person in the driver's seat. He was concerned that the vehicle would continue on and cause more problems. He says that he reached into the vehicle with his left hand to attempt to shut off the vehicle. As he did so, he moved what he thought was a metal bar, which he now believes was the barrel of the damaged .22. He says that in the process, he was reaching across the steering wheel to try to shut off the car. The gun went off. So that statement of he reached across the steering wheel to try and shut off the car, ignition's always on the right-hand side of the driver's of the steering column, so he would have to be on the driver's side reaching across into the vehicle.
Okay. So Boushie somehow, from his friends' witnesses before they took off running, said that he was in the front passenger seat, but like Gerald's saying he's in the driver's seat.
Well, I mean, between the time that the gray escape ran into the blue escape, so the gray escape runs into the blue escape, and then Mr. Cross and Mr. Meachance take off. If Mr. Cross was in fact driving, then it is reasonable to assume that if Mr. Boushie was in the front passenger seat, that he could hop across to the front driver's seat. I don't think that's unreasonable to kind of conceive that could have happened.
Okay.
Which would account for.
There's a third article or somewhere else that says like he was like still passed out in the backseat too. But
well, that's what Belinda Jackson claimed, is that he was passed out in the back seat.
So during this whole event, he went from back seat, passenger seat, front seat, while still being passed out.
Well, according to Belinda Jackson, this whole thing went from passed out in the back seat to sitting in the front seat, passenger side.
Okay, so at some point he got up there.
Yeah, but the problem is that the blood spatter and the bullet trajectory and the state of which the body was found outside the driver's side door, all of those things do not corroborate Belinda Jackson's statement.
Okay, so it's saying he was what? Where does it put him with all that evidence then?
Where does the evidence put him? It puts him in the driver's seat.
Okay, so we'll just say he was in the driver's seat, just like Gerald Stanley said, what the RCMP said. That's where he
what
ended
the
up.
blood spatter experts said, what the ballistics experts said, like everything says he was in the driver's seat when he was shot.
Okay. So now Sheldon Stanley says a few minutes later, a third shot was given, right? Like fired, which ended Colten Boushie there. And then Watney and Jackson opened the driver's side door to Boushie, they opened up the door, and then Boushie tumbled out with a .22 caliber rifle with a missing stock lying between his legs. Is there anything in your articles that say that?
No, like I said, I'm drawing mainly from the judge's statement to the jury, mainly because it's likely to be like this is a direct transcript. Like this is the published transcript from the courts. This is much more, in my opinion, much more likely to be an accurate account of what was said in the courtroom, whereas a reporter might make a mistake, for example. And now it's entirely possible that the judge made a mistake as well, but that would also be grounds for some sort of an argument from the lawyers.
Okay. But there are pictures of a .22 caliber rifle, right?
I believe so. I want to say there is. I haven't found anything directly.
I got one here from CBC that shows a picture of it.
Of the damaged gun by itself?
Yep.
Or
yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. They said that it had a round chambered in it, and it had a magazine of 5 rounds.
Yeah, and that's fairly common for a lot of 22s to have.
Well, how many people do we see gang members and stuff take the stock off their gun?
Well, yeah, I mean, right? Just last week I remember seeing a photo of I believe it was a Ruger 1022 that was seized by the RCMP, where the stock was completely cut off.
Yep.
So it was just basically the barrel, or the trigger, the action, and the barrel.
Yep.
And on top of that, actually, it had some pipe fittings onto the sawed-off barrel, which my guess is that it was to adapt an oil filter as an improvised suppressor.
To me, when I saw those pictures that you're talking about, it looked exactly like Colten Boushie's .22 caliber rifle that fell out.
I mean, minus the pipe fittings on the barrel.
Yeah,
right?
But it looked exactly the same. The missing stock. It's almost like it's like almost looked like a handgun because it's just like the trigger's right there.
Now, yeah, but I mean, they were claiming, and there's nothing to prove that they were lying about this, that they were attempting to use the .22 to break a window and that the stock broke. So I mean, if the stock broke, then I mean, if you can find that image and link it to me, I'll take a look and I'll tell you what I think. But I mean, if the stock broke, then it's not really a chopped down, modified weapon. So yeah, just scrolling down, the Tokarev is in fact just a standard Tokarev standard magazine. So that's that. Man, that gun is just smashed to shit. Like, I wouldn't even say that that's functional. My guess is that they did in fact use it like a club to try and smash the window, and then it just bent the shit out of the action there. Because if you look closely, no, I don't think that. I mean, prior to it being smashed, absolutely. But looking at that now, I would say that that's non-functional.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I can't get a larger resolution photo of that.
Okay, so now,
but
now we're gonna go.
Honestly, yeah, a closer look at it, absolutely, that's non-functional.
Okay, so this is the gun. That's the .22 caliber that they said was when he tumbled out with this .22 caliber rifle between his legs, right?
Right.
This is from Watney and Jackson. So I guess Stanley says, even Belinda Jackson said they attacked Leslie, who's Stanley or Sheldon and Gerald, like, Sheldon's mom, Gerald's wife, right? Who's mowing the grass. They attacked her, and Belinda Jackson said, "I punched her." Yes. Right. But like the other guys fled, right? They fled at this point.
Yep.
And they claiming that they were shot at 2 to 3 times, and they can hear the bullets whizzing past.